Okay, welcome everyone to another episode of the Rory and James podcast. I'm James and I'm here with the famous Rory. Rory, hello.
Hello.
Now, we've got a new episode today that we're going to be focusing on a musical artist that Rory actually introduced me to, who's called Dylan and the Moon. And we're going to talk a little bit about him and, about how Rory found out about him and his music. So, Rory, the first question I wanted to ask was, this sort of beginning, this genesis of it. How did you first hear about Dylan and the Moon and come across his music?
Well, as a voluntary role, I was helping out and still do with Radio Chelsea and Westminster. That's Radio Chelsea and Westminster is at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. And as far as I remember, my colleague Damien, a friend of his wife, knew Dylan under his former name of Lots Holloway, and Lots came on at that point, and she at that time played a concert with us in a live show. Very trendy and very informed and very vibrant music and very expressive. And I think it was just the one evening we did it, it stuck in my mind, and that was how I knew of as he is now Dylan initially.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So tell us about that then. So the we've got two different artist names here. So explain to the listeners sort of that change in the artistic move.
Well, Lots was born, I think, in the 80s and in a place called Newquay, and I think was an actor, certainly, and a singer and a performer, and had previously been involved with on the X Factor and various things, and very, very talented musically. I found out later on that's on keyboards and later drums, but most prevalently to me was initially guitar. So she came onto the show with us and played her guitar 3 or 4 songs, maybe even 5, 6 through the entire show. I think that was about 10 years ago, and I kept up with her music in the years since. And but she, as Dylan, was a different phase after her transition. But that's the connection between the two, and they're both the same person inside, but they're wonderful.
And then there's an interesting sort of artistic move here, isn't there? Where do you want to describe to us about how there's Dylan and the Moon that he does duets with his sort of previous self? Do you want to? Because that's a fascinating sort of artistic angle to this artist, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a very brave thing to do because, as Dylan himself says, we've all got stories, and we've all got our own life stories and acknowledgements of who we were, who we've become, what we've done, and it's a matter of, as Dylan has said himself, of celebrating who you were and then who you progress to. So I think when he does the duets with himself, and that is to match videos with himself. So he'll be playing a guitar with as Lots on one split screen in a past video, and then Lots, and then as Dylan. So he's literally doing harmonies. He's playing, and it's so clever, and it's so acknowledging of both roles. It's very, very inspiring.
And am I right that you've seen Dylan and the Moon play live? Is that right?
Yes, that I briefly referred to that in the last podcast. I can't, strangely, I can't remember exactly where it was. I went with my PA Fran to see him, and it was just the vibrance of the songs and doing them live. I know we'll come to the songs in due course, but the sense of seeing him live and being there to support him and really generating such positivity in the crowd, and the multi relatability of the tracks was incredible, and it was wonderful to meet him, as he will say, his authentic self, and he looked so strong and inspired by what he was doing. It was really interesting to see him live, and it was a great atmosphere. Great atmosphere.
That's a solid review then for the concert.
Mm.
And then in terms of, because you've definitely played me a couple of Dylan and the Moon songs.
Yeah.
So just for the listeners, is there sort of 2 or 3 major hits that you would recommend, or your sort of favourite tunes to sort of as an entry into the Dylan and the Moon's music?
Well, I know he's trying to do some new music now. I think he was in Miami recently, and he's still doing the duets. But but after the transition from Lots to Dylan, he was trying to sort of connect the two, so that the fans the fans of Lots could also be the fans of Dylan. So both versions of himself, and part of that was to create the duets. The most famous one, I think, is a song called "Heaven Now." You'll remember that.
Oh
It's
yes, that is.
it's
I would
yeah,
definitely recommend that to listeners. I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
you playing it to me when I went round your house, and then walking back to the train and having it in my head. It's got a
yeah.
great
Yeah,
chorus that
heaven
sits in your
now,
mind.
heaven now, na, na. And
That's it.
it's one of those tracks. If you're going to look up on YouTube, listeners, is it was about essentially about love making and a certain height of experience there. But it was but the experience and the actual the the hook of the track, as it's called, was really interesting because Raoul, my PA,
Hmm.
he would be playing the songs or some of the key songs. And then I remember walking through the park one day, and he was with me, helping me through the park in the wheelchair, and he starts going heaven now, just out of nowhere, which is really what you want somebody to do. You want them to experience the song to that level. And it was very interesting, and also talking about and he was doing that as Dylan, and you've got the Dylan version from now or from recent years, and you've got the Lots ones because that's what they were originally. So it really is a full catalogue.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's definitely that we want for the karaoke list. I think Heaven Now. That's a
Yeah,
good one for a karaoke tune.
yeah. The other one was the other one that sticks in my head is one called "Be Naked," and what it is, it's a metaphor for honesty. Of, I think it's within. I think Lots in the original case was talking about a relationship and being honest about how it sort of broke up. As far as I remember, the podcast that Dylan does, you'll find that on YouTube, and all the explanations of these songs from his perspective, you find them as well with his colleague Megan. They're really interesting to hear. And the interesting thing about Be Naked is in his version, Dylan's version, he's got himself in the front and Lots is still at the back, kind of like a sort of musical backing, kind of friendly ghost, if you will, in the best possible sense. And creatively, it's really interesting to have the two of them working. And the most crucial part of that also is that the third song, "Off My Brain," was one that Dylan created as he was transitioning quite some time before his voice settled in to as it is now, the male kind of voice. And the "Of My Brain" in in audio format is literally him as himself through his transition, singing all the parts, and you've got half him, half Lots. And from a creative point of view as well, he recreated the entire video, and it was so clever, so clever intercuts, editorially fantastic. And so those are the three songs that I'd recommend. But there are lots of new ones coming up, and I think he's also getting into writing, so lots to come for him as well.
Yeah, I have to say, is with AI doing lots of music nowadays, it's so nice to find an artist with such a human story like that, as you described, of such a fascinating development as an artist from
Mm.
originally a woman to a man, and then the collaborations between the former self and the new
Yes,
self. It's a lovely human
yeah,
artistic
yeah.
project rather than a machine doing it.
Oh, brilliant! Absolutely, and
Mm,
again, this live performance. I mean, Lots and Dylan. Again, that's both the same story of the same person. So much
mm,
energy from playing a guitar. And what was interesting actually with the documentary he's done recently about the transition, you see him and Lots playing drums and guitars and all kinds of different instruments that you wouldn't automatically, because the stereotypical memory of Lots and Dylan is on the guitar, but there's drums, there's computers, there's all kinds of things. I remember talking to Lots in the studio when we were doing the radio show, and she was saying how she had all the stuff, uh, all the sort of techie stuff in her room. Interestingly, as well, there's a song called I think it's called "Lights Come Down," and it's one of the ones which it's also on Dylan's channel with his colleague Megan, his friend Megan. They're discussing the track
mhm.
where they were so praising of the track as when Lots did it that that they have left the track as it is. So at the time we're recording this, the Dylan version of Lights Come Down isn't yet released because it was so vibrant as the Lots version that Dylan's made that selection. So it's very clever that he's made those analysis and come up with what he shouldn't change and what he should change. And interestingly, the choir, the Mix, there's a charity called the Mix, and he got involved with that, and I think the choir came from there, and they also back him in the re-release of the Heaven Now song. And it was wonderful to hear all these songs, as we said earlier, as reproductions on stage. And once you've got something on YouTube or on a record, you can go back and experience it. But I want to see it live again. I'm sure I will do one day. I saw him actually on Instagram today at Dylan in the Moon. That's the Instagram, and he was doing a I think it may have been the Off My Brain track, but he was doing a duet with himself on stage, and Lots was behind him on the screen. So inventive and so honest.
Yeah. No, great stuff. Well, I think we've done a thorough sort of look at Dylan and the Moon. Any final sort of points to raise before we wrap this up, Rory?
Well, I hope we hear some new music and do support Dylan as well, guys. And I hope that sooner or later you and I can go and see a show, and I'll see him again in person, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll have to put that in for 2026. We're recording this at the end of November 2025, so we're running it. We've already got something in the diary for a few weeks' time. So I think
yes.
We'll book in a Dylan in the Moon for next year. I think definitely. Yeah.
That's a great idea. See you again soon.
Excellent stuff.
Thank you so much. See you again soon. Take care.
Yes, right. Yes, thanks again, and we'll be back soon with another show.
We will. Bye.
Bye-bye.